Alright guys, I figured out it's not the fuzz that's the issue, it's me. Something that I did ages ago. Let's have a look. So, when was the last time you saw me driving the Foz and it was good? Before I put the Haltech in, wasn't it? Yep. So, I was a bit overzealous with getting that Haltech in that I just went snip, 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 connect that, it runs, it's good. But one thing I didn't consider is what the auto needs to run. What inputs does an auto need? Let's have a look. So, an auto needs speed input, it needs RPM input, and it needs a TPS input. So I can see when you need to kick down gears, line pressure to hold a gear, speed, when to change. So what did I cut? TPS I cut to put it into the Haltech. Engine speed signal, where does that come from? Crank angle sensor, cut that. That's from the Haltech now. That's why it starts. And speed, I didn't cut them. So my tacho wasn't working. If you remember, if you've been watching for a while, it wasn't working. So I used a DPO from the Haltech and used that as the tacho, and that's why I have the sweep on the tacho now. But that does not put out the same signal for engine speed to the TCU. So the TCU does not have engine speed. So we need to repin some of the ECU to the TCU, don't know, engine control unit and transmission control unit. But what I did was I cut them when I put the Haltech in, and then I depinned them, and then I threw them away. So I need to get my hands on some pins with some wires, which I have from the TCU that I got from the Liberty B4 just before COVID hit. It's been a long time. Oh wow. Okay, so I got the TCU, the steering wheel, the shifter from a Liberty B4, or a Legacy RSX, I think it's called, to put the auto gearbox and diff into this, because I know it's a lot stronger. Anyways, lockdown happened, couldn't get to the wreckers, because it was self-serve wreckers, and when everything reopened, the car was gone. It was no longer in the yard. So I've got a B4 TCU and wiring that's snipped. I've got the steering wheel, which is in the car, and I've got the shifter. So we've got some spare wires that I need to find, and then hopefully we can get the Foz running and driving and spooling and actually driving like it should. I have not actually driven this car properly with the 1300 injectors in it, so I actually don't know how it's gonna run like quick. Anyways, found all the paperwork when I was cleaning up the garage. No, over here. Don't look at them. So this is what I've written here. Speedo from Haltech now. Okay. Gone through and like crossed out things. Tick tick tick. They're all connected. Remove, 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 remove. Depinned. This is the power. Wastegate solenoid, that one. Black and red, I have no idea. I see a black and red wire that's supposed to be engine speed, but I can't find it anywhere. This is the one. Camshaft, crankshaft. I've depinned all these, so I need to repin, and I've got to piggyback off the Haltech one. Whereas I don't know if from the Haltech I should have piggybacked onto the stock one, then I would have had to do all of this wiring over here. So what I've got to do is remove the DPO that sends a signal to the tacho, because that should actually be engine speed, and I have to repin it and connect it to that wire again, because that wire goes to the TCU and it's not getting the right signal to the TCU. So yeah, I can't remember how long I've had this Haltech. January last year maybe, and it's never run right. I'm determined, I'm very determined to get this running. So maybe it wasn't the whole compound system that was playing up, it was my wiring, lack of wiring knowledge back then. If you're watching Michael from Michael's Carport, you're the one that actually triggered this thought when I saw your transmission tuning. It popped up on my YouTube. Don't know why, it's like 3 years old, and I clicked on it and you said that there was throttle TPS signal needed, and that just, oh my god, how stupid of me. And then I went down the rabbit hole and I'm seeing all of my mistakes that I've made in the wiring. If I could do it again, I would. Maybe with an Elite 2500, that'd be a lot better. Anyways, let's get in the car, find some wiring, depin, repin, connect. Hopefully it all works. Here is the B4 TCU, and this is the coloured wire that I chopped. So I'm going to depin that one. I don't know if this will actually end up going ahead, but I reckon if I do go ahead with this, I'll probably end up buying a B4 anyway and just take everything out of it, because I chopped it. It'd be better if I didn't chop it. I could just take the whole loom out anyways. But it was in the wreckers, it was really, see, like here, you can't be chopping this. These are shielded ones. Can't, yeah. Anyways, let's depin a few things and hopefully we can reconnect to get my ECU and TCU talking properly. And hopefully I can actually go through the OBD port and actually look at what's going on, because there's something going on there that I can't read. Maybe it's some earths or something that I disconnected. Amateur. Alright guys, we found something good. Cam and crank center wiring, stock one. I didn't actually depin it. I just covered them all up because they're disconnected at the other end. This could be good. Although we need to run it to these grey ones here. So we're going to have to go further up and tap in up here. Which is kind of annoying because they are shielded, and hopefully we don't get any interference between here and there. Alright, so I've repinned a green wire in that I pulled off the TCU wiring over there, and used green heat shrink. So that's reconnected. So the reason for disconnecting that one was because I wasn't getting a signal, and I thought I'd be able to put a signal in from somewhere else. So that's why it was disconnected. So this is a signal out from the ECU. So we need to get a signal into the ECU, which is coming from the cam or crank, the crank sensor really. So we need to repin them great that I didn't cut them off. It's going to make it so much easier. And I need to figure out what this black, this red with a black stripe is. So I'm going to do some investigating to see where that goes. Alright, so we have cam and crank sensors here, and if you can see the grey wire there, that's the earth. That's the protecting earth, the shielded earth. So that actually goes into one as well, which I think is this one that I stole. Looks about the right length. Alright, so we've got those wires back in. Alright, so I've connected the cam and crank to the Haltech. Now, by the looks of it, unfortunately, I might have to change the location of the Haltech because I just couldn't get enough distance on that shielded cam and crank. Alright, don't have much battery. I just started it. It starts. The wiring that I did doesn't interfere with the Haltech. I don't have a sweep on the RPM gauge anymore, the tacho, but we do have RPM, so it works what I've done. So we're getting a signal through the ECU, the stock ECU, to give it an RPM, so that's good. However, we're still getting the flashing power light, so we still need to investigate further on what's doing that. Alright guys, so I've been playing around with the wiring. Thought I'd take a break from that and look at the power steering. Now the wiring that was off the back ended up breaking off completely. So what I've done is I've gone to the wreckers and picked up another one from a 2010 Impreza. So we'll just have to change over this pipe here and this fitting here, obviously. Now I've got all the bolts out, I've got the bracket and this adjustable one here, so we are going to be replacing all the bolts too with the newer ones. So let's see if I can get the power steering off without getting the fan out. That would be awesome. Let's see how we go. So the Impreza that I got this out of only went into the records this week, and it still had its bonnet on, so it hasn't really seen weather. So I've still got the bolt there. Now this is the wiring that broke off all the way down here on mine. I don't have this clip, this connector, so I ended up chopping the wire up here. I'll put a bullet connector here so I can connect it to my wiring instead of hardwiring this clip onto it, just in case. I think I did used to have this, and for some reason I changed it. But yeah, hopefully this is the only reason why the power steering is playing up, because it's not seeing the power steering pressure from this sensor here. So it seems okay when I'm just moving it around the backyard, but as soon as I get the revs up and try to turn, it obviously isn't building enough pressure for that. So hopefully that fixes that, and then we can go for a drive. Alright guys, let's play Spot the Difference. This is the one I got today. This is the one that was off an SG from many years ago that I've swapped the original stuff onto. So this is different. This had a pipe straight onto it, whereas this one goes up to clear the intake. So all we have to do is undo that, and that'll be the same. Here we have this 14mm bolt. So we have an adapter on this side that pushes it up. You can see it sits down in there a bit, and that is for the hard line. So the hard line would be in contact with the pulley. Yeah, so, and also got wiring on this one. Everything else is the same. So all I need to do, get this adapter out, take that off, and I'll wipe this down and clean it up a bit. Get a bullet connector onto here that'll connect straight into this one, so I don't have to change it over. And we should have a working power steering pump. Alright guys, so I swapped over the adapter. As you can see, we had a crush washer there, so you might be able to see it down there. We have replaced it. It's not 100% tight yet. It's very hard, so we'll tighten it all up on the car, and getting this off as well. We'll get this off on the car because I don't want to wreck anything. So we'll just do a quick little clean up of it and we'll get it back in. Alright, new old steering pump is on. With this one, I took it out, took the O-ring off it and put it on the other piece because I know that seals on that pump. Hopefully it does. Everything else is done. Just need to get it all back together and give it a good test. So mounting bolts are all tight. We have the electrical connection there together. So what I'll do is I'll put the belt on, adjust the tension on the alternator, and we'll get the fans back in. We'll get the belt on, fans back in, and then I guess we can test it. Alright, it's all back together. I need to secure the ECU and then we'll get out and see if the power steering works, and hopefully the power light doesn't keep flashing as well because of some other things I've done. Alright, so when I was checking the power light to see if it was pulling up a fault, I recorded it. I noticed at 15 seconds after starting, RPM dropped down and went back up. So there is something at 15 seconds that I need to fix. I wasn't doing that before, so I might go and look back on the previous tunes and see what the go is. Maybe I've changed something. The only real change at the moment are cams, which are constant. It shouldn't be a time thing, so it's definitely in the tune somewhere. Just waiting for the laptop to boot up. Also, I probably lost some power steering fluid, so I have to keep an eye on that. So I'll do the full turn. Hopefully we're not squeaking. If we're squeaking, we're probably getting air in there. Alright, we had power steering leak from this one here, not from there. Alright, so once it was warmed up, it just sounded, lumpy because it had a cam. It was running alright. I reversed it out, brought it back in, felt like it was steering okay, but we won't really know until we're actually out for a drive, which I'll do tonight, and hopefully it's good. Hopefully the transmission has got enough now to know what to do. We do still have a power light flashing. I think the circuit isn't complete, but how the timing of the flashing through the diagnostics of the workshop manual says that transmission is fine. So I don't know, I've got to keep digging at that, but the only thing that it doesn't have is a mass airflow signal, which is strange because when it's unhooked you don't get a flashing power thing anyway, like on a stock one. So I don't know, we'll keep working at it. I'll look at previous tune. I know I did do this 20 here, so we'll revert that back. Alright, so I just went to one that was about a month ago and just swapped it back. Now it's back to how it was. Alright guys, next up we will take it for a drive again and see if we have improved, see if we can get the auto to respond how it should be. Fingers crossed guys. I'll keep looking into why it's flashing, and yeah, you know, wiring and diagnosing wiring, and silly me a year ago or more just started chopping wires. Yeah, I did leave quite a few pins on there, which I was very, very thankful for the cam and the crank and the MAF sensor wiring. I left all the pins on there. I just taped them up because they were chopped at the other end. So maybe that's short-circuited something, because some of them go to, I think we're onto something. Alright guys, just had it running for quite a while. Got up to temp, fans came on. We do have a bit of bubbling through the power steering system, so we changed out that O-ring. Was squealing a little bit. I've adjusted the throttle grub screw down here, so it's back down, and it looks like everything's burnt out of the exhaust as well. There was no smoke at all. So later tonight we'll take it for a drive. Hopefully it's all good. Alright guys, it's about 8:30 now, so it's time to warm it up and take it out for a drive and see if we've fixed some things, most things, hopefully, fingers crossed. Alright, so I was looking at a little bit more of the automatic transmission diagnostics, and it looks like you need to go above 20 kilometers per hour before you can really, like, before it resets itself really, and you can see what codes come up. So it does say to put it up on 4 jack stands and go through the gears, but nah, let's go for a drive. Alright boys, let's go. We're at 80 for the coolant. Sorry you can't really see much guys. Alright, you're recording, you weren't last time. I am vlogging. Feels better. I gotta get above 20. Power steering's good. I think tip in, I haven't touched tip in. Still not right, but it's getting better. Power steering's good now. way too loud. There's no kickback. That's what it is, there's no kickback. Turbo sounds good though. Alright guys, we are making progress. We have fixed the power steering. We are getting somewhere with the transmission. We don't have kickdown. I did see a diagnostic thing for that, so we'll work on that next episode. I think this one's long enough now. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll catch you next episode. Bye.